What's good, fam? I gotta tell y'all, right now the hip-hop world is acting like a battleground, and at the center of it all, Drake and Clipse. Two stories running at the same time but leaving totally different vibes. This ain't your usual rap game chatter. We're talking about Drake flexing with a historic 3-night headline at Wireless Festival 2025, while Clipse dropped their first album in over a decade, setting the streets and fans on fire differently. The way these two moments clash, straight up wild, and it's got the whole culture feeling some type of way. Now, let me break down Drake's Wireless run first, because this was not your average festival flex. Wireless turned 20 years old in 2025, and the organizers went big. But Drake, he went next level. The Six God came through and took over the headliner spot for not one, not two, but 3 straight nights. That's something no rapper had done before at this festival. And trust me, the set lists each night was different. We ain't just talking about throwing the same hits on repeat. Nah, Drake switched it up like a chameleon, serving a full-on R&B mood one night, straight rap bangers the next, and then mixing it all on the last. His first night, that was a whole vibe, man. He leaned into that smooth R&B sound, bringing out names like Mario and Bobby Valentino, throwing it back to the classics that made you feel all the feels. Hearing Mario hit Let Me Love You live alongside Drake was something special. Then Lauryn Hill magically stepped on stage, blessing the crowd with a mashup of X Factor and Nice for What. Real legends in the building. The crowd was hyped, singing every word. For a minute, it looked like Drake had this locked down tight. But yo, the vibe didn't stay flawless. As the festival kept going, some fans started to catch feelings like the energy was slipping. Despite them bringing out heavy hitters and making sure no stone was left unturned, people were saying the performances felt kind of rehearsed or overproduced. Some felt like Drake was trying way too hard to show he's still king without realizing the throne's getting crowded. With folks bringing up the fact that this was Drake's first UK show in 6 years, some thought that made this situation feel more like a comeback tour vibe than a natural headline moment. And when you consider the timing, it's even messier. Speaking of timing, gotta switch gears and talk about Clipse real quick. The hip-hop OGs, Pusha T and Malice, finally came back with Let God Sort 'Em Out, their first full project since 2009. If you haven't heard, this ain't just some random throwback album. It's produced entirely by Pharrell Williams, the same dude who helped shape that classic Clipse sound years ago. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't just a nostalgic trip. They got features from serious heavy hitters like Kendrick Lamar, Nas, and Tyler, the Creator, giving this project layers of respect and contemporary fire. Clipse hitting the scene again with this album was like hip-hop's lit fuse finally sparked. The streets and critics weren't ready for this heat. They praised the album for how authentic and real it felt, like a breath of fresh air rolling through a rap world filled with traps and auto-tune melodies. Folks were hyped to hear that Virginia sound coming back with new life, sharper bars, and a fresh message that reminded the whole culture about where real skill and raw storytelling come from. This comeback wasn't just a return, it was a whole statement. But here's the kicker. Drake's festival domination was happening right around the same time Clipse dropped their album. You can't tell me that coincidence didn't raise some eyebrows around the culture. Some people straight up speculated that Drake was trying to block out all the noise from Clipse's resurgence by hitting the UK with this mega festival moment. Was it tactical? Was it shade? Nobody knows for sure, but you can feel the tension in the air. Drake's reputation for handling beef and controversies quietly is well known, but this move felt loud and clear to some folks who watched the game closer. Now, before we go any deeper, if you're feeling this breakdown so far, hit that like button and subscribe. Fam, we got more layers coming up that'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about these two different paths in hip-hop. All right, back to the story. The public reaction to both these events was nothing short of a mixed bag. Drake's shows, no cap, were packed and backed by a huge fan base, chanting every lyric, but critics weren't as forgiving. Many pointed out that despite the glitz, the performance lacked the bite and spontaneity that makes a live rap show unforgettable. It was like watching a movie you'd seen before. Perfect lighting, perfect script, but missing that heartbeat of raw emotion. People started to suspect that maybe Drake's been chasing his former glory instead of carving out a new era for himself. On the flip side, Clipse's album brought a completely different energy. Fans and critics alike were vibing heavy with how the duo stayed true to their roots without sounding stale. The storytelling was gritty, the beats hard, but the message was clear. Clipse wasn't here to play games or cater to mainstream charts. They came to remind the culture what street-level lyricism really looks like with no filler. The respect they garnered has been way more than just nostalgia. It felt like a realignment of the hip-hop compass. This contrast of spectacle versus substance is what makes this whole scenario so fascinating. Drake riding high on a spectacle of guest stars and showmanship, while Clipse opts for tight bars and classic vibes. It almost feels like a microcosm of the current state of hip hop itself, with the game split between flashy commercial appeal and a hunger for authentic storytelling. But the story doesn't end there. The timing, the reactions, and the energy on both sides set the stage for some big questions about where hip hop is headed. Is the shaker and mover Drake aiming to block out competition, or is he simply evolving in his own way? And is Clipse's return proof that the streets and true hip hop heads are ready to take it back to basics? I'm curious to know what y'all think. Is it just me, or does this moment feel like a turning point where authenticity starts to outshine spectacle? Or are we going to see Drake bounce back harder, proving the sixth god is untouchable? Keep it locked, because the next part gets even deeper into these vibes and why this clash matters way more than just two artists making noise. Alright, let's keep it moving, because this whole vibe between Drake and Clipse is way deeper than just splashy performances or comeback albums. Now, think about Drake's game at Wireless. He rolled up like the headliner king 3 nights straight, packing stadiums and bringing out all those guests. But beneath all that glitz, some folks started peeping cracks. It's like the bigger the stage he took, the more you could tell this was a man trying to hold on to something that might be slipping away. And yo, not to throw any shade, but sometimes it felt like the show was more about flash than heart. Y'all know live hip hop ain't just about hitting the right notes or bringing stars out. It's about that connection, that raw vibe that gets the crowd wilding. And with some of these Wireless nights, some fans straight up said, "Where's that fire?" It had the ingredients but missed the sauce. Meanwhile, Clipse was doing it different. They didn't need that mega stage or fancy guest list to flex. Pusha T and Malice came through with "Let God Sort 'Em Out," and it was like hip hop's underground message got upgraded for the streets again. This album wasn't just another drop. It was a whole masterclass on lyricism, authenticity, and the kind of storytelling that drips real life. And Pharrell's production, it brought that timeless Virginia sauce, but without feeling stuck in the past. What's real interesting though is how Kendrick, Lamar, Nas, and Tyler, the creator, added their voices to the mix, like passing the torch, or maybe reminding the whole culture of the lane Clipse built. Now, the timing between these two events, that's what's got the streets talking. Drake's Twitch in the UK coinciding with Clipse dropping heat, that's no accident to the people who study how politics and power plays work in the music game. We all know how Drake operates. Smooth moves, sometimes low key, but strategic as hell. This could have been his way of saying, yo, there's only room for one king right now, by flooding the scene with multiple grand performances to distract the culture from peeping Clipse's arrival back on the throne. But here's the twist no one can ignore. While Drake's spectacle got eyes on the festival, it ain't like the culture applauded it universally. You had plenty of people saying the performances felt rehearsed, like Drake was ticking boxes instead of actually feeling the crowd or the moment. They say sometimes when you try too hard to prove yourself, you end up showing your insecurities. And in this climate where hip hop heads crave authenticity more than ever, that's a big Clipse's album, on the flip side, swept through with no pretense. It reminded people that hip hop roots are still thriving, and that real skill still gets love even when the charts or mainstream might try to bury it. What makes this even crazier is how critics and fans lined up behind these two different energies. Drake keeps dominating streams and headlines, but critics, they weren't all convinced that this Wireless performance was a championship moment. Some even compared it to a dazzling movie set that looks good but feels hollow, and we know what that means in rap. Fans want something they can feel in their soul, not just watch on their phone from far away. While Drake's nights were big production, Clipse's album came through like a punch, straight to the chest, overflowing with nostalgia and new fire. It was the authentic story wrapped in modern sound, and that combo hit different in 2025. For some, this felt like hip-hop's real heartbeat, making a comeback louder than any festival's sound system. The streets felt seen again, and that kind of energy, that's not easy to capture or replace. So what's really going on here? Is Drake just evolving and keeping his spot, or is he fighting to keep the throne while the culture's ready to crown a new king, or kings in Clipse's case? This situation taps into the bigger question of what hip-hop really wants right now. Are fans about the elaborate production, the guest list roll calls, and the massive festival moments, or do they want to hear real bars, authentic stories, and music that reflects where we came from and where we're trying to go? I'll keep it 100. For years, Drake was the W we all wanted to see. He brought the hits, the style, the vibes, and the stream numbers nobody else could touch. But now, the culture's changing. Hip-hop heads are asking for that truth again. They ain't just vibing with someone flexing on a stage. They want to feel like the art means something to the streets and the soul. Clipse's return is reminding everyone that real hip-hop ain't just about clout or views. It's about legacy, narrative, and sharp lyricism that cuts through the noise. You can't deny Drake's influence or his achievements. He's broken records and shaped modern rap culture for more than a decade. But moments like this make you ask, Can the game keep revolving around polished, commercialized performances? Or is it time to bring back the grind, the grit, and the raw storytelling? Because when you hit play on Clipse's album, it's like time stopped, and everything real hip-hop represents came rushing back. That's a big move for anyone paying attention. And what about the fans? This clash, Drake's wireless extravaganza and Clipse's lyrical renaissance, feels like a test of the new era. It's a tug-of-war between entertainment and authenticity, between the spectacle and the substance. It's like hip-hop itself is flexing muscles in different directions, asking us who's really gonna stay relevant when the noise fades. Now fam, what's y'all take on this? Is this a straight up L for Drake because the culture's moving in a different direction? Or is he just playing the long game, showing he can still headline and flex like no other? And with Clipse back on the scene, are we witnessing the start of a movement where old school skill and real rap stories reclaim their throne? I wanna know what y'all think down in the comments. Don't sleep on your chance to sound off. Remember, this ain't just music. It's culture, identity, and legacy. So keep tuning in for the real talk, because things are about to get even messier and more interesting beyond what we've talked about here. Who knows? Maybe this saga will rewrite the rules and show us what the next chapter of hip-hop's history really looks like. Don't forget to hit that like if you vibe with this breakdown, and smash subscribe so you don't miss the heat when it drops next. We're about to keep peeling back layers on this and more stories like it, you feel me? Till then, stay woke, stay real, and keep repping for the culture. Peace.